Welcome back to We Need to Talk, everybody. This is the show that looks at football on the internet over the past 7 days. 7 days that see my gate doing a madness, apparently, but more importantly, Frank Lampard and Jurgen Klopp going at it. Birmingham City retiring the number 22 shirt for 17-year-old Jude Bellingham, who's played like 40 games for them. What? And Barnsley celebrating staying in the Championship with a floss.
It's Barnsley who've won at Brentford. They won in the 93rd minute against Nottingham Forest at the weekend.
Anyway, today we need to talk about this season's transfers. We are approaching the end of the 2019-2020 Premier League season. It feels like it's dragged on for about 4 years, but it's finally coming to an end. So I thought I'd look back today and review the 20 biggest transfers of the Premier League in 1920. Were they good? Were they bad? And put them in a tier list. I want you guys to get involved as well and put the players in your own tier list below in the comments. All of the names are going to be on screen and I want you to add which tier you would put them in. Let me know and I'll have a look and reply to the most. The most? As many as possible, I think I meant to say. By the way, I've taken the most expensive, the top 20 fees from Transfermarkt. So if any of them are wrong, just go and tweet them. Don't just put them in the comments here because, you know, it's not my fault. Alright, let's start with the most expensive. Harold Slabhead Maguire, £78 million. Now, obviously, that's a big overpayment. He's probably a £50 million defender, but to be honest with you, I think he's been really good for Man United, and I'll take stick for that, happily. We've got the third best defensive record in the league. I think we have second or third most clean sheets in Europe this season. He's played every minute of every league game. He's the captain of the club now. I think he's been pretty solid. Tier 2, Tier 3. Do you know what? I'll put him in Tier 3 so I don't take too many pelters, but he could easily go in Tier 2. Nicola Pepe, £72 million. Another big overpayment, I think it's fair to say. Even Arsenal fans will probably admit that right now. 25 years old, so he's not the sort of teenage sensation that some players coming through academies right now are. And just 11 goal involvements in 2,000 minutes, which is kind of bog standard. Not ripped up any trees, but I don't think he's been nearly as bad as people have said and memed him on Twitter. So yeah, I'll put him in Tier 3. Same tier as Maguire. Yeah, Tier 3. Rodri's up next, £68 million. Now, Pato would probably have him in Tier 5. I think he called him his most disappointing player of the season, or at least up there. I don't necessarily agree. I don't think he's had the impact Pep Guardiola would have hoped, though, and he certainly hasn't been an adequate replacement individually for 33-year-old Fernandinho. So at £68 million, maybe a little bit disappointing, but I think next season you'll see the best of him. I'll put him in Tier 3, I think. Next up, another Man City player, Jiao Cancelo, £60 million. My word, he's only started 12 games. That's not particularly great. He's been second fiddle to Kyle Walker, who I actually thought had gone backwards last season, but looks to have improved this season. No goals, no assists. Tier 4, and I feel like I'm being kind there, to be honest. Tanguy Ndombele, £54 million to Tottenham Hotspur. Shambles. Probably not his fault, to be honest with you, given that he's been frozen out of the club by Jose Mourinho, but this was one of the most exciting transfers of the summer window when it happened, and he's barely played 1,000 minutes. He's probably going to get sold in the summer now that they're signing Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Yeah, this is just Tier 5. How disappointing. All right, next up, Pulisic, £54 million. I know that they paid the money in January 19, but he arrived at the club, didn't he, in the summer, so I am going to include him. Unreal value, this is. £54 million for a 21-year-old Pulisic, who already looks like he's Chelsea's most talented player. 9 goals, 4 assists. So what's that, 3 more than Pepe, £20 million less, probably 3 or 4 years younger as well. He has been sensational. Tier 1. If Chelsea get in the Champions League, it's largely down to this kid. Bruno Fernandes, £50 million. Yeah, transformed Manchester United season totally. 14 goal involvements in 13 games. People can bring out the diving and the penalty memes all they want. He is a sensational player, and I actually think 50 million looks decent value now for his standard, doesn't it? Yeah, it has to be tier 1. Aaron Wan-Bissaka then, £50 million. I think he's had a really good first season at Manchester United. An amazing one-on-one defender. Most tackles in the entire Premier League. Not amazing on the ball. It is something he's improving on. So I'll put him in tier 2. Seb Aller coming in next. 45 million quid. Hell. 2,000 minutes. 7 goals. Those Frankfurt boys, him and Jovic, have flopped this season, and now he can't get a game over Michail Antonio, can he? Although, admittedly, Antonio is in the form of his life, but just hasn't been at it. Tier 5, probably. Giovanni La Celso is up next. £45 million. Yeah, this is a very good signing. I think he's probably going to be Spurs' player of the season. Not stand out statistically, but I think he's driven Spurs' entire midfield in a season that's been an absolute calamity for the club. Tier 3. All right, next up, Mateo Kovacich. £40 million. Absolute snip. Chelsea's player of the season, although Pulisic's the most talented player at the club. I think that Kovacic has been the best this year. Filled a huge void with that N'Golo Kante injury and having a one-legged Jorginho next to him. One of the league's best central midfielders. £40 million is pennies for a player of his quality. Another £40 million player next then, Joelinton. Wow. 2 goals in 2,700 minutes of top-tier action. I don't think he's ever scored double figures in a league season, has he? I know he's only 23, but it's just tier 5, isn't it? Yuri Tielemans up next. £40 million. This is a difficult one because he has experienced a massive drop-off in form really since Christmas, but then Leicester have as a whole. Madders' injury has really hurt him, as is Wilfred Ndidi. I think it's a solid season, but I don't feel like he's progressed as well as he would have wanted to and the club would have wanted to. So I'll put him in tier 3. Next up, we've got Rao Jimenez. I think he's the best target man in the league, and calling him a target man is harsh. Incredible player, back to goal, wins everything in the air, does everything well with the ball at his feet. 17 goals. £34 million seems like an absolute bargain for Wolves now, doesn't it? Even though he's slightly old. Yeah, tier 1. Ayoze Perez next up. Now, Hamill would have him in tier 6, wouldn't he? Hates the guy. And it's not quite worked out the way Leicester thought it would, I think. 8 goals, not a horrific return, but, you know, 3 of them came in that 9-0 battering of Southampton. I feel like he's been pretty ineffective on that right-hand side. Tier 4. Bergwijn's up next. This is a hard one to categorise, isn't it? Because he's only started 8 games. £27 million. I'll just stick him in tier 4. Tottenham fans, let me know where you put him, but yeah, that'll do. Alex Iwobi. Oh my God, I forgot he cost £27 million to Everton. 19 starts, 1 goal, no assists. Woof, that is whiffing. Struggling to get a game under Ancelotti. Now he shifted to that 4-4-2, isn't he? And Arsenal must be delighted to have got a fee that big. He's had a tier 5 season. Sorry, Alex. Izmila Sarr is up next. £27 million as well. 5 goals, 3 assists in a really bad Watford team this season. He's been good, but has he been good enough to keep Watford in the division? Probably not. They maybe expected a little bit more from him, but was I expected any more? I don't know. I think he's been okay. Probably their best player this season. Tier 4. Pablo Fornals is up next. £25 million, just 2 goals, 5 assists, but that's probably his regular output throughout his career. Maybe I was expecting a little bit better, but I think West Ham as a whole have been quite disappointing this season. Tier 4 or tier 5, tier 4 or tier 5. I'm going to lean towards tier 5, just because, why not? Finally then, 20th player, Moise Kean to Everton. Poor bloke, you know, £24 million. He's still so young. Of course, he hit those 6 goals in 5 starts at Juve, didn't he? He was flying. Moved to Everton. I think he wanted to progress his career in the Premier League, and he stalled it. Sadly enough, I think 5 starts. I think he scored 1 goal for the club. Can't get a game, can't get a minute. Embarrassed by Duncan Ferguson, of course, at Old Trafford. And looks like he might leave in the summer. I know Carlo said he's going to stay, but would you stay if you're Moise Kean? He's a tier 5 player right now. Alright, so that was my tier list of the 20 most expensive Premier League transfers last summer. Some people are going to disagree, some people are going to agree. Let me know what your tier list is in the comments below, and I'll try to engage with them as much as possible. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you want more in-depth European chat, head over to Continental Club with Doogie, Critchley and the boys. Don't know what they're talking about, but it'll be juicy. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you later.